Hello and welcome to the Talk to Expert series 126 with the Spectrum Autism. I'm Umayal Subramaniam and I am an early childhood educator from Thanjavur running a play school called Squirrels. We look forward to bring you meaningful sessions that will benefit parents and viewers and take everyone to the path of inclusiveness. This year, our theme is coming together, and in the month of March, we have been bringing you experts in open basic education system available for children with special needs and others who have not been able to use mainstream education. In this league, today we have Mrs. Jaspreet Kaur, who is the principal of Amrit Masonic School in Noida. She has over 20 years of experience in the field of special education. She is the mother of two lovely girls and a parent advocate. Her forte is building academic structures and helping children learn through open education. And she is well versed in creating curriculum, retaining the essence of learning outcomes for children with special needs. Amrit Masonic School is her brainchild, and she is a pioneer in open basic education program, and she has authored all the curriculum books of the program. Welcome, Jaspreet ma'am.
Hi, Umayal. Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us about your journey as a parent and how you got interested in basic education, open basic education, and how Amrit Masonic School came up.
Okay, so ma'am, as you just met a while ago, you met my daughter. I have two daughters. The elder one is a neurodivergent person. She's a special needs adult. Um, so, okay, she's 22 years old. I was one of the luck. I consider myself very lucky. Before
Mm,
her birth, I knew that the baby being born would have some challenges. That,
okay.
trust me, is a major stroke of luck
Mm, mm,
because
mm.
on twofold. The first was we started at zero. We knew
Okay.
that the child being born would have
Mm, mm,
challenges. So anything she achieved was 100. That was one. And secondly, we were given ample time to research. We knew before she was born that she would
mm,
have
mm, mm.
challenges. So before I got involved in the daily nitty-gritties of taking care of a newborn baby, I had ample time to prepare. The doctors had kind of told me.
So before
So
she was born, the acceptance was there on your side.
I don't think I'd say acceptance. I
Mhm.
see, because we found out at a point where we could have aborted.
Okay.
It was slightly late, but we could have
Mm-hmm.
aborted. Long story short, yes,
Mm-hmm.
we were ready to welcome a person with challenges. I
Mm-hmm.
had done all my research. I'd had time. She was my first child. I had ample amount of. It was just 3 weeks, but I had 3 full weeks to prepare. So when ACOM came about, she for the first 10 years of her life, at least, got the ideal, remediation and help that a special needs person, anybody with any sort of challenges, should get.
Mm-hmm.
She's a severely challenged person. She has two genetic syndromes. She's the only
Okay.
known case in the world with that combination.
Mm-hmm.
You just met her. She doesn't really come across
Yes.
as, somebody with challenges, but she was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to stay a 1.5 foot vegetable all her life. On top of
Okay.
that, she had a brain surgery when she was 5 months old. So lots of
Mm-hmm.
issues. But despite that, I would say she got the ideal remediation that anybody with any kind of challenge should receive. So
Mm-hmm.
all the pre-learning skills happened, all the occupational therapy, speech therapy. She's working so well today because when she was barely 4 months old, voluntarily I took her to the orthopedic department at AIMS.
Mm.
So I know I would. So even before the problem cropped up, because I knew there would be problems, I was
Mm.
preempting them. So so good amount of remediation, pre-learning skills. Then at around the same time, a wonderful inclusive school came up in Noida. It's as
Okay.
if it's as if they opened only for her, and she
Mm-hmm.
was a part of that school, got very good remediations, a super expensive school. To this point, so now she has all the pre-learning skills
Mm-hmm.
cognitively. She has had all the remediation skills for her physical balance. She starts walking, she starts talking, surprising everybody. She's not supposed to do any of that. Despite all of that, 11, 12 years of age, the school starts sending me red flags.
Okay.
Suddenly, उसने आज ये कर दिया. She did this wrong. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm sure you'll all get to meet her in a minute. is a very affable, very social, very loving person. So Ekam hitting people is
Mm-hmm.
unthinkable. So I knew that, something was going to happen. And exactly like that, when she was about 12 and a half, 13, I was told we'll be shifting her to functional curriculum because she's no longer educable.
Okay.
Now, what the point I'm trying to make here is that
Mm-hmm.
ideal remediations, so far it must be sounding as if I had complete acceptance. I was not in denial at all. But the fact is that I was in the worst kind of denial because, I gave her all the help she needed. I took her to all the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, I empowered myself. I'm basically I teach chemistry, but despite that, all the courses that RCI had to offer, I started
Mm-hmm.
doing them one by one. Whether it was B.Ed special education, it was in whatever. I was constantly studying, but
How
I
did you
knew.
find this time to
Anji,
study, uh, being the main caretaker of Ekam?
ma'am, not only being the main caretaker at that point, this was one of my denials. I was also in a full-time job.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
RCI offers several distance education courses. I
Mm-hmm.
think that is another question we could definitely take up today. Though, I guess I'll come to that in a minute. So I had empowered myself, but it was when these people said she's not educable, that is when I faced the real mirror. That's when I
Mm-hmm.
realized that one of the basic things that I had been looking for the last 8 years at least, was some sort of curriculum. I'd been
Mm-hmm.
asking everybody. So she had an IEP. All the kids have an IEP, but what do we do
Oh,
in the IEP? If they're able to do addition, let's go on to subtraction. So
mm-hmm.
there isn't a logical thing. You're not going from second to third. Your curriculum is not being augmented. It's at that point that I realized that I actually had been in a denial. Around the
Mm-hmm.
same thing, another wonderful thing happened. I met a couple of special needs adults who had been employed in malls.
Okay. Mm.
That's when I realized, that's when I'd already during my education learned that the government has passed two, landmark legislations.
Mm.
1992, the National Trust Act. 1995, the Persons with Disability Act. They had made reservations in higher educational institutes. HEIs had reservations.
Mm.
All government institutes had reservations. But they also wanted a primary educational requirement, whether it was 10th or 12th. And my first answer was, ACOM will never be able to do 10th. What are these people talking about? But having voiced that, then that got me thinking. I started looking around. That's when I realized that government had not only done reservations, they had already also set up a board for more marginalized people. That's when
Mm-hmm.
I started reading. And Umayal, the best thing I found out was that, they were simply saying that for the marginalized people, there's this alternative form of education, the
Mm.
open board,
Yeah.
where you have multiple entry and exit points. You can enter at any point, and
Mm.
they said use it. And it seemed as if it was the best kept secret in India. Nobody seemed to know anything
Okay.
about it. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, that's how I came upon the open school system.
And you started your own Amrit Masonic special school.
Ma'am, even at that point, while Ekam was going to this super wonderful exclusive school, inclusive school, I was already volunteering at this place very close to my house.
Okay.
So I was a part. I've been a part of this school for 22 years. As long, no,
Mm.
actually 23. I started volunteering before Ekam was born.
Okay. Okay.
So I've been here since then. I've been a principal for the last 15 of those years. And
Mm-hmm.
we started, Ekam started her open school journey when she was 14, which is,
Mm-hmm.
which is how old? 8 years. 8 years. Like she's been doing it for 9 years now. She finished
Okay.
12th last year, 9 years. And I've been in the open school system for as long.
So the next question for you, I have a thing. What are the pros and cons of alternative schooling with respect to the mainstream schooling? How
Okay,
did?
ma'am, the open school system is basically a distance education mode.
Mm.
We get
Mm.
that. That's the first thing. So, for two people, neurodivergent, neurotypical. Like I
Mm.
said, when I started reading initially, I found out that there was this alternate school education system that was meant for
Mm.
marginalized people. What does that mean? One, people who do not want to spend too much of time on education because their goals in life are already set, be it
Okay.
music, sports,
Mm.
whatever.
Mm.
So, most of the celebrities in India have taken the open school system if you go into their background.
Okay.
Uh, you know, so the second was social dropouts, who for some
Mm.
reason had to drop out of the mainstream education for just a year. and we're not able to go back because the age criteria was no longer viable. Then the third set was near children. They had mentioned children with challenges, and apparently this is basically nobody knew about it. Now, pros and cons. In my opinion, lots and lots of pros. It's primarily pros. Pros, I think we'll discuss. The con, there's just one con.
Okay.
The social interaction that a neurotypical child gets at school. When you go to,
With the peer group.
yeah, peer
It's not
interaction.
that open schooling is.
Open schooling system will not give you that. Ma'am, this does not even, actually, this doesn't apply to neurodivergent children. See, for ACOM, if I want to teach her social niceties or, intricate, whatever, behaviors, I have to create a structured social setting.
Okay.
It has to be a controlled social setting where I introduce the topic in a particular manner and I teach it to her. So ACOM anyway does not really learn all that much from, initially. She doesn't. Now that we have, taught her the 10 or 20 points, now when I take her to social settings, she has internalized the learnings.
Okay.
So quite frankly, in my opinion, there aren't any cons at all.
But if you have to take her to a new place, you'll have to give her new social setting rules.
Umayal, she's 22 now. Let's say till about 15, 16, whenever we had to go out, there's something on a social story. We would create a social story, which we would start implementing at least a month in advance. If we were going to a wedding, I had a social story book for weddings. I had one for birthdays. But over the years, she's internalized it now. And trust me, for the last at least 3 to 4 years, I don't need to prepare her at all. Because the initial the remediations happened so very well. Now we have cues. We have, finger gestures. This means, okay, let's back off. So this means lower your voice. So now we just need to follow some, cues. That's all. Not too many cons, in my opinion.
So you were telling the open schooling system, it caters to everyone, not only children with special needs. So how did you adapt the curriculum without diluting the concept for the special school?
So, ma'am, India has 3 national boards. We all know CBSE, ICSE, and NIOS, the 3 national boards. All of them have to follow the national curriculum framework.
Yes,
and the national curriculum framework is implemented through NCERT books. Pick up any NCERT book, especially the ones beyond 6th standard. When the primary school is over. Okay, let's take an example of any English chapter. Let's say it has about 250 sentences. The actual concept will be conveyed through the first 50 sentences. Those 50 sentences would also include a lot of functional examples. That's the best part about NCERT. They're grounded in Indian culture. So the examples are very functional. They are Indian examples. So when I say I adapt, what I do is I filter. So, okay, everybody should know this very well, that every parent should know that when somebody talks about altering the curriculum, there are 2 concepts here, adaptation and modification. Adaptation means keeping the essence of it, making it shorter, but not decreasing the content. Modification, on the other hand, means slashing the content.
Yes.
Modification assumes that the child cannot study. Adaptation simply says, I'm going to teach it the way he wants to learn. There's a theory of multiple intelligence.
Concise thing about that covers the whole of the
Pressy writing. Actually, pressy writing. What we do is we filter. So what you do is you retain those 50 sentences. You take off the rest 200. Even in those 50 sentences, you change the examples. For example, if you have a neurodivergent child from a family where there are musicians, then I will put in a lot of examples that are music related.
Okay.
There's a child whose parents are maids. Then I will put examples that are related to, working on the ground level. So you change the examples. You do not change the new words. You keep the new words. You retain the essence. You simply filter. That's how you adapt.
So, ma'am, so a parent decides to homeschool the child. Then what are the alternatives available for the parent?
Ma'am, it's not just the open school system. We have open school system on state level as well as the national level. There are 12 state boards in India. And of course, we have the National Institute for Open Schooling on the national level. But beyond that, a lot of homeschoolers use the IGSE system also.
Okay.
So what I would say is that, okay, when you buy a music system, what do? You read the manual, don't you? So if you're planning on an alternate system of education, you pick up the prospectus and read. At least the open school prospectus, the National Open School Prospectus, is available in several languages, very simply
Um,
written. So you go through it, and I think that's it. That's how you explore. It's as simple as that, actually.
So how important is choosing the study center? Because there are a lot of study centers available. Some are near, some are far. And how can the parents get the study materials for open schooling?
So, Umayal, do we have the liberty? Can I spend about 5 minutes on telling you a bit of a technical background here?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
definitely.
At least on the national level, the open school on the national level,
Mm,
it operates on two levels.
mm,
You have the lower level classes, which are third, fifth, and eighth.
uh,
CBSE will take your exam in every class. You
mm,
finish 1 year of study, they
yeah.
will take exam. The open school system will take your exam only thrice, before
Third,
10th
fifth, and eighth.
and 8th,
And
and after.
till then you have to study on your own.
So basically, the way you and I studied, we went to CBSE schools or ICSE
Mm,
schools. Till ninth, we went to a school. The school decided on the books. The school
yes.
decided on what amount of the book would be taught.
Mm,
The
mm,
school
mm,
set the question papers. The school checked the question papers, and they gave us a report.
mm,
So
mm.
till 10th, the most important factor in our lives was a school.
Yes.
Mount Carmel was the most important factor in my life because they were my gods. They could do anything to me. But
Yes.
10th onwards, they only became a means, no?
Mm,
CBSE would send the question papers, which would
mm,
only be executed at Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel was doing
um,
nothing else for me.
and someone
Exact
else
same.
will correct your paper.
Absolutely. Somebody else would correct, and CBSE would send my result.
Mm,
My Saint Teresa, my mother, sorry, Sister Teresa, I think was, okay, she was a physics teacher. Sorry for the example. She couldn't do anything to me in 10th. you know
uh,
if somebody, same thing happens with the open school system also, whether it is IGSE or the state boards or the national board, till the lower classes. So at the national level, they will test you at third, fifth, and eighth. When they
mm,
test you at third, what they say, they're not saying learn, you should know the third syllabus. What they're saying is you should know the first, second, and third syllabus. But
okay.
for the classes first and second, we're not testing you. We'll
Mm,
test you together at third because you are in an alternate system and you do not have enough time to come take
uh,
your exam every year.
mm,
Okay. So when they test you for third, the study center, your school, or wherever you're enrolled, or even if it is
mm,
distance education, you're enrolled somewhere. They will set the curriculum, they will set the question papers, they will check the question papers. Only the certificate will come from the board.
yes.
So the study center is the most important part till
Mm,
8th standard. After 10th,
okay.
study center again becomes only a means where you go
Mm,
and take your exams. The books are standardized, they're national books. I should
mm,
have them here. They're here. Anyway, the books are standardized. The question paper comes from the board. You simply take it at the study center. So third, fifth,
uh,
and eighth, you have centralized books like these. The
okay.
same book will be studied by everywhere across India,
Across India.
and the same question paper will come. But third, fifth, and eighth, the center will set the curriculum, and the center will be a board basically.
Mm,
So the study center is very, very crucial. As for the curriculum, as I explained, till 8th, the study center will give you a curriculum. It could be anything. Uh, it is up to them to give you a curriculum also or not.
mm,
99,
mm,
95% of the study centers will not even give you a curriculum.
okay.
So it's actually really bad till 8th. But yes,
Mm,
after 10th, you enroll, the books
mm,
come to
mm.
you by post, you study yourself at home, you take somebody's help. On the assigned date, you go to the center, take your exams. That's it. The way you and I studied.
Definitely. So why there's an online website available for open schooling. So what are the common mistakes the parents make while registering online? So can you tell us do's, don'ts, what the parents what would
Yeah,
it make it easier for parents?
that's a lovely question, actually. Ma'am, till the lower classes, third, fifth, and eighth,
Mm,
your study center is going to primarily help you take the exams because you're going to be benefiting them. You're joining
yeah.
them. You're going to be studying with them or something. They'll have
Mm,
some charger. Every
mm,
study center will have a minimal charge above and beyond your admission charge.
okay.
Okay, so because you'll either study with them every day, the
Mm,
child, or the child will go to them for doubt clearing classes, or the
mm,
child will only go to them for exams. But at the
okay.
very minimum, even for just taking exams, they will charge you something extra above and beyond the
Mm,
charge that the open school system is going to
okay.
take.
Mm, mm, mm.
But after 10th and 12th, no, nothing. So
No.
The common mistakes were so until third, fifth, and eighth, the study center in all probability will help
Yes.
you fill the form,
Mm.
and there aren't too many mistakes you'll make. But at the level of secondary and senior secondary, okay, the first most common thing, you have the moment you start filling up the form, it's a 6-step form. You're asked for a phone number and an email ID. You will not believe, Umayal, the most common mistake is people will simply feed in any email ID that comes to mind. The
Okay,
email
okay.
ID is going to be a point of contact with the board.
It's the most crucial thing
Crucial
you should.
point. Yeah. So, especially children who are social dropouts, they will simply give you
Mm.
any mail ID, and after that, there's no way to know where this child. Second step is the moment you fill in both these points, you're sent a mail by the open school system on
Mm.
your mail ID, giving a username and password. This is
Okay.
simply a mistake parents will make. They will not save this mail.
Mm.
Gateway into the open school system. You lose this mail, you're not able to find it, you're done.
Okay.
There's nothing has
Yes,
happened.
yes, yes.
Third step is the most common thing. So, when you're filling up the form, please understand that nobody's going to look at the form.
Yes.
Okay, so at the point where they ask you for previous qualifications, now the open school system, whether on the state level or on the national level, does not require private certifications.
Mm.
You can simply go to secondary without having attended a single day of school.
Wow.
Okay, so while filling up the form, whatever the child might have studied, the parents will tile put
Mm.
in third, fifth, eighth, without
Mm.
realizing that the moment you put this in, they'll ask for a transfer certificate, a migration certificate.
Mm.
So there's an option called no schooling.
Uh,
It's
Most
a
parents
wonderful
choose
option.
third, fifth, or eighth, something they
Yeah,
choose.
fifth or eighth.
Okay.
So even if you have a fifth or eighth certificate, we kind of advise choose no schooling. That
Uh,
takes away all the hassles. Okay, then the another very, very critical factor, like we just discussed, the question that you asked me, till third, fifth, and eighth, the most important factor for successfully transacting the open school system is your study center. Okay, now once you start filling up the form, it wants you to mandatorily select 3 study
mm.
centers.
Mm.
Options first, second, and third. You always get the first option, but you should have selected your study center before you start filling the form. So there is
Okay.
a link which lets you check the study centers. It's a small
That's
link. You put
nearest
in
to
your,
you.
yeah, that's near. You put in your correspondence address. It will give you the options.
Mm.
What you have to do at this point is approach every study center, go check with them,
Mm.
check the option, the facilities they'll offer you, the amount of help they'll give you. Only then
Mm.
choose. Or if it means choosing a center that is slightly farther away, it's a open,
Uh,
it's a homeschooling system. You're not having to go there every day.
yes.
Wrong choice in study center in 95% cases is the reason for children dropping out of the open school system.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Another very, very common mistake, please choose your study center very mindfully, explore
Mm.
it earlier and then choose. Then choice of
Mm.
subjects, of course, is a major concern. That also, the choice of subjects should not be based on, uh, what
Popularity.
friends, popularity, your social pressure. It should be there should be a good combination of
Mm.
theory and practical subjects, and choose as many computer-based subjects as you can.
Okay.
Because my experience is that post 12th,
Mm.
the one avenue which is most easily accessible by our students is the IT field.
Okay.
So there should be at least a couple of
Mm.
practical subjects. Practical subjects meaning subjects which have about 30 marks of theory and 70
Mm.
marks of or 40 marks of theory, not more
Uh,
than that. So
okay.
again, the fifth common mistake would be a wrong choice of subjects.
Mm.
So
Okay.
to encapsulate, ma'am, a good email, active email ID,
Mm.
save the message that comes to you, the mail that comes to you
Mm.
immediately on submitting. Choose no schooling. Choose your center very, very carefully and choose your subjects very carefully.
Very, very insightful. This is very.
Thank you.
And so you mentioned that anybody can study in open schooling. So
Yeah,
even the caregivers can study. So who have been they have not been able to pursue their education for any reason. So these study centers, they have evening classes or weekend classes for the caregivers to continue their education.
ma'am, when you join the open school system, it's a homeschooling system. It's a
Mm.
distance education system. Mandatorily, Whether at the state level or the national level, all the open boards have to give you a fixed number of classes, mandatory classes, doubt clearing classes. So, and all these classes all are supposed to happen only on weekends. Okay, so just about anybody can join the open school system, a distance education system. Yeah, okay, so another thing that I think important factor we need to point here is there's something called RCI, Rehabilitation Council of India. That is the part of the government that takes care of everything and anything and everything to do with us, whether it is the curriculum formation, implementation of the curriculum, implementation of the reservations, implementation of the provisions, whatever, is controlled by Rehabilitation Council of India. If you go to the site of RCI, you will there get several courses that RCI has started online, as physical as well as online distance education classes that RCI has founded for special educators, caregivers. See, there's even so I've done a B.Ed. First, I did a B.Ed. I was a postgraduate already, but apparently the postgraduate doesn't matter. If you don't have a B.Ed, then that's your entry point.
Yes,
So
yes,
I had to first do a B.Ed in special education. Then I have done bridge courses in occupational therapy, in speech therapy, in physiotherapy, and then I did advanced certificate. That was for a
all in
chosen
open
few,
schooling.
all through distance mode. See, okay, I think another point that I think really make here is I had cleared the even 20 years ago, spastic societies, there are four spastic societies in India, the nodal bodies, North, South, East, and West. They are the ones who take care of anything to do with special needs people. They are the primary institutions for education of a caregiver. Okay. I had cleared their entrance exam even 20 years ago. In fact, I topped all India. But the moment I started going, I realized I couldn't do it. So, as you rightly put, caregivers cannot do a regular course. That's when I went looking. So, there's several universities, MPPOU, there's several universities that offer distance
Distance
education.
learning.
And all this information can be obtained from one place, Rehabilitation Council of India, RCI.
Okay, RCA.
You go to the RCI website, you'll get all the courses available. There are even courses, all the maids in our school are RCI certified. They're uneducated, they're illiterate. So for the illiterate also, you have these 3-month caregiver courses. Okay, so, so all sorts of courses, you can go there and find out.
So how has your experience been with students who are with special needs? They're able to get certified in 10th and 12th, and they come to you and say with happiness that I have done this, and they are, they can pursue further studies or get employed because of this. How is that feeling you have experienced with the parents and special needs children?
So, I think I could tell you my experience as a parent. As I told you, the first time I found out about these jobs, and my first comment was, Ekam will never be able to do 10th. What is the point of having these reservations? And I think this is one factor that will resonate with a lot of parents, whoever listens to this, interaction. I never ever thought Ekam would be formally educated. She would have formal school education. So yes, when she cleared third, forget when she cleared third. The first time she gave the exams. So, something that you and I take for granted, a bag full of books. That was a basic right that I went from pillar to post. I was not able to get that right for her. Nobody would give her books. So the very act of taking the exam, the first time she went for a picnic with friends, these are small joys that we take for granted, but which are very, very rare and, unique in our children's lives. After that, actually clearing secondary and having a certificate in your hands, I don't think I can describe that feeling. But yes, once that milestone was also achieved, that's when the reality hits you. Yes, we got certified now. How do you go look for jobs? We know government has put up jobs. What do you do about that? That is still a bit of a gray area. Even though the way I said earlier that the open school system is a very well kept secret, now the pathway to finding those jobs is also a very well hidden path, but we're exploring it. At this point, I'm sure that would be one of those questions. So at this point, I would say the solutions are individualistic. So a lot of us, there's an example CUET in Delhi, and it's not there everywhere else. There's a common entrance exam to all the universities in the NCR region. So now you do not have to go to separate colleges and take their separate exams. You give a common exam and then you choose.
Okay.
Our children, so 3 years ago, our children started taking the CUET also.
Okay.
And there also you get all the provision of a scribe, extra time, get all the provisions. And so exam bhi ho gaya, colleges bhi mil gaye. Now what? So my message to everybody would be, our kids have gone to Ludhiana to do D Pharma, pharmacology and diploma in pharmacology. The reason I chose that was because I found the pharma industry to be a very, very safe industry.
Okay.
That certificate, D Pharma certificate, can be given on rent. And a chemist shop is a because everything is alphabetized, so it is one place where special needs neurodivergent adults can can exist very, very peacefully, and they're very, very happy to go there. There's no chaos. Even in the chaos there is an alphabetization. So then some of our students wanted to pursue BCA. Now, the point I'm trying to make is I'm not trivializing the fact that intellectual disability, it exists. Learning is very difficult.
Yes.
One, you can adapt the curriculum. Secondly, the government, yes, has given you access to everything, all HEIs, all government departments, LIC, forget government departments, private firms. Amazon hires a huge number of, especially it's adults with the packaging department. Yes, it's happening. But till the education part, there's one prerequisite that you have to follow, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The curriculum has to be adapted. So our students are going to the music department in DU. Two of them are doing BCA, Bachelor's in Computer Applications. One really wanted to explore interior design. I don't think he'll be able to continue with that one because that course is very, very abstract. It's highly visual. So that is one we are facing. But wherever the kids are going, the success is based on one fact: the curriculum has to be adapted.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I think I'm preempting here. One of the biggest problems students face, a lot of children start in inclusive schools. In my opinion, beyond fifth, mainstream education is near impossible. If you're continuing beyond fifth, then I think the child is definitely being harmed, primarily because children at that age bully.
Okay.
The child, even if they're being able to manage the curriculum with the help of special educators, they're not able to navigate the day-to-day functioning of the school. The same children, when they go to college, they become very empathetic. The same children with bullies in college become wonderful friends.
Yes.
So if the children after 12th are going to colleges, you need to do two things. You adapt the curriculum and you have counseling session with their friends.
Okay.
So one of our students is in a very nearby college here. I no point naming it. And when he started, has a lot of challenges, social challenges, and intellectually very smart. So that's where the process started with him. We organized a party for his classmates, got them home, and instead of a party, instead of the mother, they found me, and in a very playful manner, I took them through about 45 minutes of a special education, crash course. And today we don't have to do anything for this boy because he has about 30 special educators working on him all around. Of course, we adapt his curriculum for him. By adaptation, what I mean is before he goes to a class, he's already studied the chapter with us, and his teachers have the adapted notes. So in the class, when he's listening to the teachers, he's already heard the words before. And when the children are doing exercises, when the students, even in college, they're doing exercises, he has an adapted exercise with him. Whereby he attempts the same questions, but he probably attempts them in a multiple choice format. But the end product is the same. The knowledge gained at the end of those the long questions
is being done.
The learning is the same. Teachers are happy. The students are super happy because this is a wonderful friend. He'll never crave. He'll never badmouth. There's nothing wrong he'll ever do. He's an angel. So the kids are happy. The teachers are happy, and the child, of course, is very happy.
So this takes me to the next question. So you have been telling us every child can learn. So how, as a community, we can ensure that this happens?
Ma'am, every child can learn is a logo that I fabricated for the school when I joined. Because that's the answer that is, something that I would hear the most. She can't do this. Wherever I went, the most common thing is, ma'am, ye nahi kar sakti. So
Mm.
my answer to all those people was not only she, everybody can learn.
Learn.
Ma'am, okay, so there's a concept called UDL, Universal
Uh,
Design of Learning. It used to
mm.
be universal. So earlier we had, it was applied to architecture.
Uh, uh,
The UDL concept came in about 30 years ago, where
mm.
Universal Design for Architecture, UDA, when they started talking about making all the buildings
Mm.
accessible.
Uh,
Basically, the concept there was that
yeah.
if a person is disabled, that
So
disability
mostly
need not be.
the places had ramps, they had lifts, stuff like that. Physical
Yeah, so
access.
if you are disabled, if you're in a wheelchair, and if the building
Mm.
is accessible to you, then there's no
Mm.
problem. No? The
Yes.
disability does not become a disadvantage.
Mm.
The same thing, ma'am, then started getting applied to learning. For
Uh,
example, okay, two scenarios. A teacher goes to a class, and when she goes to the class, she realizes there's one student on the autism spectrum, and
mm.
there's one student who has low vision.
Uh,
Next day, when she goes back, she changes some of the worksheets to and
mm.
adapts them to these people. This was the inclusive system. I'm talking
Uh,
about the best case scenario here. What
okay.
UDL says is that
Mm.
yes, so in this case, there were three kinds of kids in class:
Mm.
neurotypical, autism spectrum, and low vision.
Uh, mm.
UDL says that there are eight kinds of students in every class.
Yeah.
Every class. So,
Mm.
according to Gardner's multiple theory of multiple
Mm.
intelligence, some children will learn by writing, some will learn by talking, some will learn by
Yeah.
doing. So all those
Some will
concepts
learn
we
by
know.
seeing and some will
Seeing,
learn by
absolutely.
interaction.
So UDL says that when the teacher is going to a class for the first day,
Mm.
she has to have differentiated worksheets, keeping in
Uh,
mind different learning styles, not
mm.
different disabilities. So, ma'am, if
Yes.
you follow just this, the society
Mm.
will automatically become inclusive.
Yeah.
You're not saying that you have a HI, hearing impaired or a visual impaired.
Mm.
You're simply saying, if I go back to my 10th standard, ma'am, I still remember this girl, who now I know definitely had learning difficulty.
Mm.
But because we
Now
weren't
I'm
aware.
seeing many play school adapting to this multiple intelligence method.
Absolutely. Ma'am, that's what I'm saying. I think as a society, in the last 7 to 8 years, I've seen multiple strides happening, huge
Mm.
strides happening. I think inclusivity, especially by, these mainstream movies like Tare Zameen Pe
Uh,
and all, they brought
yeah.
disability into the middle.
Mm.
They brought it to our faces. We had to
Yes.
face it finally. In fact, you won't believe after that, there were parents coming to me and saying, there's so many provisions. Can you get a child declared learning difficulty, please? A
Uh,
normal child. So
mm.
I think how to become inclusive, very simply change your mindset. So I have two daughters. The elder
Mm.
one has intellectual disability, difficulty. The younger one has respiratory difficulty. That is the only way
Uh,
I see them. The younger one has asthma. So
okay.
that's it. As far as I'm concerned, I have
Mm.
two. For the younger one, we don't have a single curtain in the house. So the curtains, the carpets, everything had to be adapted, right?
Mm.
So when
Yes.
I could do the adaptations for her, that's all
Mm.
the adaptations I did for the elder one also.
Yes.
And all our kids, you and I, if we're together, suppose we're coming first in our class, despite
Mm.
scoring the same marks in a subject, we will still have different strengths and weaknesses. So when we do
Definitely.
a SWOT analysis for everybody, so
Mm.
why can't, that's it, the mindset. Inclusivity is in our minds. It's not actually something we actually have to do.
So that is what the society needs, the change in the mindset. So how do we bring about that in little
But
steps?
if for the longest time now, I'm
Mm.
sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. The TTC buses, or I've been in the NCR region for the last
Uh,
35 years. The buses or the trains, even when we small, had those boards, no, for disabled
mm.
children only, for senior citizens
Yeah,
only.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was the government's way of bringing in inclusivity. They were
Uh,
saying that anybody can board this bus. Let's
mm.
adapt this setting for, so if there's somebody who's not able to stand, if there's a pregnant
Mm.
person, if there's a senior citizen person, please give them the seat.
Uh,
You can stand. I think the small steps have always been taken. We
mm.
just have to recognize them. And, a person walks into your party,
Mm.
so you're inviting your daughter's friends, and
Mm.
one of the friends has a special needs brother and sister.
Mm. Mm.
Please invite them.
Okay.
So, see, a common thing that we've always heard is, I'm talking about normal children here. I'm sorry,
Uh,
I'm using a
yeah, 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 yeah.
politically incorrect word.
Yeah, yeah.
We are often told that don't talk down to them. If
Uh,
there's a small child, don't raise your pitches. Hi, baby, how are you? They say, no,
mm.
don't do that. Talk to them like small, human beings, short human beings. The same thing you do with, if you see a visually impaired person, you don't have to become conscious about it. There's somebody with low vision coming, just be very normal. Treat them the way
As
you
you
would
would
treat
anybody
as a
else.
sighted person. Treat them as you would a sighted person. If a sighted person was about to stumble or was about, and the way you would help them. Similarly, help a visually impaired person the same way, or low vision person the same way, an intellectually deficient person. So that's it. Don't think about special needs people. That's another thing, a message I can give to a lot of special needs people's parents. I'm often told that how come your daughter is so well accepted in the society? We've been living in this gated community for a good 20 years, and she's everywhere. She goes to all parties and everything. And a lot of parents will come and tell me, see, because you are this person, she's accepted. No, she's accepted because I accept her. This is going to sound like a dialogue, but this really is the reality of our lives. The way I look at my daughter, the whole world will
The
look
way
at her the
whole
same
world
way.
look at her.
So when we go out, I make concessions for both of them. I will make sure that my younger one will not go towards close to a particular bush which she's allergic to. Similarly, I'll make sure that Akam also, will does not go and start talking to everybody. She's a hugely social person, and she does not have the concept of stranger danger. So I will take care of both of them in whatever
Okay.
challenges they might have. I would suggest the society also should do the same.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts today with us
Thank
and
you.
answering all our queries. So, to our viewers, I would like to remind you that this is the time to take the inclusivity pledge. All you have to do is take a video saying, I take the pledge to be inclusive and accept the unique.
Oh, that's
Thank you.
wonderful.
So we have been taking this pledge for over 2 years, and there are nearly 2,000 people who have taken this pledge. And dear viewers, please take this pledge and share it with us. Thank you so much once again, Jaspreet, ma'am, for
Thank you,
this.
ma'am. Take care. Bye bye. My hi to everybody. I hope you all have as wonderful a journey with your children as I did. I have an angel in my life. I couldn't be more blessed. See you, ma'am. Bye bye.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.